So have you visited India before?
No, I haven't. My dad has been a few times to India. When I was younger, my dad worked for a couple of years in India, and he was um, there for small. He was there for maybe a month, and then he'd come back to England for 3 months, and then he'd go to India for a month, and then he kind of did that for a couple of years.
Uh,
So no, but I haven't been to India myself. No. As you might know, in England, Indian food is very popular, and there's actually more Indian restaurants in England than any other
oh,
type of restaurant.
okay.
It's the most common restaurant, and it's also my favorite food. So where I at some point in my life, I need to go to India because I need to eat authentic Indian food, because I appreciate that Indian food in England is made for English people, if that makes sense,
Yeah, yeah, true.
rather than Indian food in India, which is authentic. So yeah, at some point in my life, I need to go to India and just eat. That's all I want to do. I want to visit places as well, but my main motivation is the food, if I'm being honest.
So
Um,
so where are you right now? Are you at England or?
no, so I live in Spain. I'm English. I was born in England. I lived in England until I was 30.
Oh,
But I live in Barcelona. So I teach English in an academy to Spanish teenagers and university students in just outside Barcelona, like an hour to the south of Barcelona.
okay, okay.
Mhm, mhm.
That's
Yeah,
I only heard Barcelona because of some football team, I guess.
yeah. They have a very famous football team, and also there's two football players that are the most famous, which is Cristiano Ronaldo and Leo Messi.
Yeah.
And Leo Messi plays for Barcelona, so he has kind of made them one of the most famous football teams. But normally in India, the main sport in India is cricket, no?
Yeah, yeah, it's cricket.
Yeah,
Actually, no, there's only one sport actually people like to see or watch on TV or talk about. It's just cricket, nothing
yeah.
else.
Hmm.
But now I think gradually people are building taste towards other sports also. For
Hmm.
example, kabaddi is very famous in India.
Hmm.
So, but I don't know how much following is there for this game, but it's very less. Even nowadays, because other celebrities are promoting these different sports so that
Hmm.
they can motivate others to not only go for cricket or should have a motivation in other sports also.
Hmm. Kabaddi's I don't know, pronunciation might be bad, but we used to play kabaddi at school when I was a child. Um, and it's a really really fun game. And we used to play in PE when I was a child. In kind of middle school when I was about 12, 13. It
Oh,
was like basically if it was raining, the weather was bad, and we couldn't go out onto the field to play either football or rugby. We used to play kabaddi in the sports hall. That was our like second option, uh, and it's really fun. It's really fun. It's a bit it can get a bit aggressive. And what are your ambitions for the future? So you're in Singapore at the moment. What would you like to do moving forward?
for now, actually, I'm just brushing up more on because as I told you, right, investing is one of my hobbies, so I'm brushing on that. But I hardly get time actually to study to brush up my knowledge there. But I tried as much I could actually, but but it's very hard because of my job because sometimes we have really tight deadlines on releasing some product. So it's but that's what the plan. So a long term plan would be I have some milestone for 1 year and 2 years. So it's like a kind of very planned things.
Yeah.
May kind of boring also, but it's more about visiting different countries and this is a good part. The bad part is like the boring part is basically having financial independence, blah blah,
Yeah.
these kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you like to visit? Where would you like to go?
uh f- Actually now what I have planned is like in I want to visit one country, Middle East, there's a famous city called Dubai.
Hmm.
This is one place I want to go in. I also want to do a Europe trip because I have so many friends actually from they're working at either at Germany, UK, or England, and then there are two other countries on in West, Canada and USA. So this
Okay.
is the kind of plan, but I know it's not going to be easy. It'll
No.
take some time.
That's okay. When I was a child, so like I said to you, my dad worked in India a lot, but he worked in the Middle East as well. And so my dad lived in Dubai for 2 years when I was a child. And so we used to go in the holidays and spend like all the summer in Dubai. Also, I don't know, do you know a country called Bahrain, which is close? It's like, so you have United Arab Emirates, you have Abu Dhabi,
Yeah, Abu Dhabi.
Saudi Arabia, and then there's a little island which is called Bahrain, like
Okay.
Bahra, and he lived there as well for 2 years.
Oh, Bahrain. Yeah, 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 I
Yeah.
heard this name.
So yeah, I've spent quite a lot of time in the Middle East because, like in the summer, we would go for the whole 6 weeks, and I did that for 4 years, and then at Christmas we would go for 3 weeks. So yeah, I don't know if you add that up, that ends up being I
But
don't
I
know,
think
maybe about 6 months.
it has changed a lot, right?
Yeah,
It evolved a
yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah. So
from.
when my dad lived in Dubai, it was 1985.
Oh.
So a really long time ago, a really long time ago. Um, and yeah, he went. So a few years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, my mum and my dad went to Australia, and on the way they stopped in Dubai and had like 2 days in Dubai just to look really, because when my dad lived there and now it's unrecognizable the
Yeah,
difference,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
between
true.
the two places. I mean, yeah. In the UK, there's a really large population of not only Indian, like Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi. There's and Sri Lankan as well. Actually, there's like a large population, and depending on the area as well, there are certain. Like I used to, where I'm from in Newcastle, which is in the north of England. There's actually not a particularly big kind of Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi population. But then I lived in Manchester for 6 years. This is where I fell in love with Indian food.
Oh.
And I went to university there, and the student area in Manchester, the next town is called Rusholme. And Rusholme is like the start of kind of the area where people from India, etc., live. And the main street in Rusholme is called it's called or nicknamed the Curry Mile, because it's like it's about a mile long, and probably 30% of the shops are Indian restaurants. And
Oh.
so you have and so everyone from the city, they go from wherever they live, they come to this area if they want to eat Indian food, because uh, it's got such a large selection of different restaurants, and it's somewhere where you can try like food from different regions of India. So some of the restaurants will be like, I don't know, North Indian food. Some of the restaurants will be South Indian food, and
Yeah.
it's also the place where the Indian and the Bangladeshi and the Pakistani people eat as well, because the way you know, in my opinion anyway, the way you know a good restaurant is if people from that culture also eat there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yes, and that's where I fell in love with Indian food. And in Manchester, there's a really large population of people who are from that region.
Yeah, yeah, that's. But if you really want to taste the authentic food, right? Because even, for example, if I choose one recipe, because I think outside India there's one recipe called tandoori chicken is very famous, right? So
Yeah.
everybody knows about it. So if you go and eat same tandoori chicken in different areas of India, you will feel a lot of difference in the
Hmm.
taste. In North
Okay.
India, it's different. In South, it's different. Or even in North, you will see a lot of different varieties of same recipe, and
Hmm.
that is very prominent difference that you can see. Okay, they have this this taste, or there's a difference. So there's very very diversification on food choices
Hmm.
for each state.
Okay.
So that's that. But yes, if you actually come to India and then you actually go to some restaurants, you will feel the authenticity of the food. Because same thing happens to me when I'm in Singapore. I go to some Indian restaurant, I don't get that taste. It's
No.
so called Indian restaurant basically.
Yeah, because they make the food for the clientele. It's like Indian food in Spain. Uh, in my opinion, is not as nice as Indian food in England because Spanish people don't like spicy food,
Yeah.
and so um, it just tastes different. It tastes, I don't know, like they're not including some ingredients because
Yeah.
they know that Spanish people don't like spicy food. So
Yeah.
they're so it's like they've removed some ingredients to that. You can ask for it to be spicy, but it still doesn't quite taste the same. I don't know what ingredients they're not including, but anyway, um, because whenever I go to an Indian restaurant here in Spain, like I say, oh, can I have it spicy? And they look at you a bit like, are you sure? And then they go, how spicy? And I go, no, really spicy. And then, uh, and even then, it's never really spicy, if that makes sense. Like I try to explain, I'm from England. It's really common to have Indian food in England. Like I like spicy food, but they always, I don't know, because Spanish people hate spicy food, so they're scared to make it spicy because normally Spanish people will complain and say, "Oh no, I don't like that."
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, I was not aware of this fact that like in England the Indian food is that famous or
Yeah.
people actually like. Because I what I think is like, okay, because even if I'm Singapore, so I sometimes I just go and try some Chinese food.
Hmm.
So I was in the same mindset that okay, if there any Indian shop in England, people just go and just taste, okay, how actually the Indian food tastes like. That's it, and
Hmm.
then they forget about it and uh, have their
No,
regular.
no, not at all. So my town in England. So I say I'm from a city called Newcastle, but I'm actually from a town about 10 kilometers outside Newcastle. And my town, the population is probably about 30,000 people.
Mhm.
And in my town, there's probably 6 or 7 Indian restaurants,
Wow,
and
that's a good number.
they've been there for years. So it's not like they're new and like they're 15, 20 years old, and they've been successful for 15 to 20 years. And if you think it's not a very big town, and 7 restaurants all
Yeah, that's
continuously being open and continuously being successful, it's quite a lot.
yeah, it's quite a lot when it's even for just 30,000 people, we have 7 Indian restaurants. They are running for a very long time.
Mhm.
That means they are actually doing good.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, in my part of England, because I'm from right in the north, and the immigration kind of the further north you go, the less it gets because most people, if they come from a different country to England, they think London, and so like London's the very south, and I'm in the very north, and sort of the further north you go, slowly the amount of immigration gets less and less and less to a certain extent. And so my city, there is immigration. There's people of different races, but it's certainly less than some of the cities further south. But as I say, despite that, so when you go to an Indian restaurant, it's not really Indian people who are eating the food in my town. There might be like one table that's Indian people, but every other table um, is like kind of white, traditionally English people.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, it's very popular in England, definitely.